Imagine 1952, the ink still wet on Israel's fledgling statehood. You're in a smoky room, the air thick with the sweat of ambition and the clatter of typewriters. A telegram lands on Albert Einstein's desk, its words absurd. "Will you be our president?" The physicist, hair wild as a storm, chuckles, muttering something about relativity being less of a headache than politics. This isn't a joke, it's real, a bizarre offer born from a nation's desperate hope. Israel, barely 4 years old, reeling from war, and dreaming of global respect, saw Einstein's name as a beacon. A Nobel laureate, a Jewish icon, a man who reshaped the cosmos, surely he could steer a country right wrong. Einstein, in his cluttered Princeton study, surrounded by equations scrawled like battle plans, said no. His pen scratched a polite refusal, citing age, and a preference for numbers over negotiations. Imagine the gall offering a throne to a man who'd rather wrestle gravity than diplomats. It's like asking Elon Musk to run a medieval fiefdom, bold but bonkers. Step into Jerusalem's chaos where David Ben-Gurion, Israel's steely-eyed prime minister, hatched this plan. The nation's birth was a bloody scramble, borders drawn in gunfire, neighbours bristling. Einstein's fame could unify, they thought his refusal a gut punch to their dreams. Picture the scene, advisors pacing, arguing over a scientist who'd never held a gavel. The telegram's words burn with urgency, a plea wrapped in flattery, but Einstein's not biting. He's 73, his mind a galaxy of theories, not policies. You can almost smell the ink, the faint coffee stains on his desk as he writes, "I lack the natural aptitude." Aptitude. The man cracked time's code, but politics, that's a different beast. It's like offering a chef a scalpel and saying, "Perform surgery." The absurdity stings, yet it's human nations like people chase wild hopes in desperate times. Now think of the stakes. Accepting could have rewritten history. Einstein, a president, not a physicist, his face on coins instead of blackboards. But he knew his limits, a rare humility amid power's siren call. The offer wasn't just a quirk. It was a symptom of a world in flux where new nations gambled on unlikely heroes. You're there watching the telegram crumple the dream of a scientist king fading. It's thrilling, isn't it? The idea of power dangled, then dodged. Like a viral stunt gone wrong, it's a story that hooks you, then leaves you reeling. Einstein's no wasn't just personal, it was a middle finger to the chaos of leadership. Want to hear more about the telegrams that tried to sway him? Like, share, tell us your wildest what if fact, because history's a circus, and this is just the opening act. You're in Princeton, 1952, the air heavy with the scent of old books and pipe smoke. A telegraph machine ticks like a restless heart, spitting out paper ribbons that pile up on Einstein's desk. Each one's a plea from Israel, a nation barely holding itself together, begging him to take the presidency. It's absurd, like spamming a rock star with job offers to run a startup. The telegrams, crisp and urgent, carry words of flattery. Your wisdom could guide us. You can almost feel the paper's edge sharp as the hope behind it. Israel's leaders, desperate for a symbol, saw Einstein as a global titan, his Jewish heritage a bridge to legitimacy. But he's no politician, his world is chalk and cosmos, not handshakes and headlines. Picture him, glasses slipping, laughing off the idea as he scribbles equations. It's a cosmic prank, this offer, yet it's deadly serious. The telegrams keep coming, each one a snapshot of a nation's panic. Jerusalem's streets buzz with rumours, hawkers shouting news of war and survival. Ben-Gurion's team, sweating in suits, drafts messages that blend respect with desperation. You're our hope, one reads, as if a physicist could solve border disputes. You're there watching the ink dry, the words heavy with a new nation's dreams. Einstein's response. A firm no delivered with a quip. I'd rather solve a unified field theory than a cabinet meeting. It's like turning down a CEO gig to code in peace, sensible yet surreal. The telegrams pile up unanswered, their urgency fading into the hum of his study. Each one's a relic of a moment when history teetered, when a scientist could have been a king. But why so many messages? Israel's leaders weren't just asking. They were pleading their words, a mix of awe and audacity. The nation's fragility, carved from war's wreckage, demanded a figurehead. Einstein, with his wild hair and wiser words, was their unicorn. Yet he saw the trap powers a maze, and he'd rather not get lost. You can hear the telegraph's clatter, feel the weight of each please, and it's thrilling, the stakes of a nation hinging on one man's no. It's like a Twitter storm begging a celebrity to run for office only to be ghosted. The absurdity lingers a reminder of human folly. Want to dive into more bizarre offers to scholars like Cher? Drop your weirdest history fact, because power's a strange game and we're just getting started. Picture yourself in a 19th century library, the air thick with dust and the creak of leather-bound tomes. You're a scholar, ink-stained fingers flipping through manuscripts when a letter arrives sealed with colonial wax. It's not an invitation to a lecture. It's an offer to govern a sweltering outpost in Africa or Asia, a governorship thrust upon you like a bad Tinder match. In the 1800s, empires like Britain and France loved dangling power before unlikely bookworms, professors, poets, even astronomers who'd rather dissect texts than tax codes. It's like offering a coder a corner office to run a corporation. The absurdity hits hard, you a man of quills and quiet expected to tame a colony's chaos. The letter's wax smells of ambition, but you'd rather stay in your study, where the only rebellion is a misplaced comma. Take the case of John Stuart Mill, the philosopher nudged toward colonial posts in the 1850s by East India Company brass. He scoffed, preferring his essays to Empire's mess. Or consider Edward Gibbon, whose decline and falls made him a star, yet he dodged offers to oversee distant territories. These scholars weren't cowards just allergic to the political swamp. You can feel their dread, the weight of parchment promising power but reeking of trouble. Picture the colonial offices humid and buzzing with flies, where governors wrestled rebellions and dysentery. Why pick a scholar empires thought brains equalled control, like hiring a chess master to run a war zone? Spoiler, it rarely worked. The sarcasm drips who needs books when you've got a throne. Yet these rejections weren't just personal, they shaped empires, leaving power to soldiers instead of scribes. The thrill lies in the stakes. Say yes and you're shipped to a jungle, your inkpot useless against uprisings. Say no and you're free, but the empire's gaze lingers. These scholars hunched over candlelit desks knew power was a trap. Their refusals sharp as a pen's nib echo Einstein's later dodge brains don't bend to bureaucracy. You're there heart racing as you tear the letter choosing ideas over empires. It's like ghosting a CEO recruiter to debug code in peace. The world kept turning, but these no's carved quiet victories. Want to know about the adventurers who said yes and crashed? Like Cher, drop your weirdest history fact, because power's a circus, and scholars rarely play ringmaster. You're in 1850s Central America, the air heavy with dust and gunpowder. William Walker, an American adventurer with a lawyer's degree and a pirate's heart, stands in a crumbling plaza declared president of Nicaragua. It's not a joke, this lanky dreamer, barely 30, accepted a wild offer from local rebels to lead their fledgling republic. It's like a YouTuber crowdfunding a coup and winning. In 1856, Walker, backed by American mercenaries, seized power, his boots grinding sand into the floor of a makeshift palace. The offer came from desperate factions sick of civil war betting on a foreigner to bring order. Spoiler, it's a disaster waiting to happen, and you can smell the chaos, sweat smoke and betrayal in the tropical heat. Walker's crown was no metaphor. He proclaimed himself president, issued decrees and dreamed of a Central American empire. Picture the scene markets buzzing with fear, locals eyeing this gringo who thought he could rule. The rebels' offer wasn't noble, it was a gamble like hiring a stuntman to run a startup. Walker, with his sharp eyes and sharper ambition, said yes, where scholars like Einstein said no. His reign a fever dream of filibusters and gunfire, collapsing by 1857 when neighbours and his own men turned on him. You're there watching him strut through dusty streets, his papers promising glory but delivering graves. It's thrilling, the audacity of it, like a TikTok star declaring themselves king. But power's a bad bet, and Walker's fall was brutal, executed by firing squad in 1860. The absurdity stings. Why offer a throne to a drifter? Nicaragua's chaos demanded a saviour, and Walker with his American bravado seemed close enough. His yes was a middle finger to caution, but it burned fast. You can hear the shouts, feel the plaza's heat, and it's a rush, the stakes of power won and lost. Want to dive into more bizarre throne offers? Like Cher, tell us your wildest history fact, because adventurers like Walker prove power's a game nobody wins for long. Step into 1860s Europe, where the air smells of wax seals and cigar smoke, and the map's a jigsaw of crumbling empires. You're a minor German prince, barely a footnote in a dusty castle, when a letter arrives offering you a throne in some far-off land. It's not a fairy tale, it's a high-stakes gamble, like being DM'd a CEO gig for a failing startup. In the 19th century, Europe's powers played musical chairs with crowns, tossing them to obscure nobles like you to prop up unstable nations. Take Maximilian of Habsburg offered Mexico's throne in 1864 by French schemers. Picture him all sideburns and ambition stepping into a palace that reeked of gunpowder and betrayal. A crown or a coffin. That's the deal, and you can feel the parchment's weight, the ink promising glory but whispering death. These offers weren't kind gestures. Nations like Greece, Mexico, or Romania, carved from revolutions or colonial games, needed figureheads fast. German princes, often young, often broke, were perfect pawns. Why? They had noble blood but no real power, like influencers with followers but no cash. You're their heart-pounding as advisors whisper of distant lands where rebels sharpen knives. Maximilian's Mexico was a trap. He sailed from Vienna's elegance to a dusty throne, only to face a firing squad by 1867. The sarcasm drips. A crown's nice, but bullets are free. Other princes got similar offers. Romania's Carol I lucked out ruling for decades, but most weren't so fortunate. It's like signing up for a reality show where losing means exile or worse. The thrills in the risk one wrong step and your history's punchline. The absurdity hits hard. Why bet on a nobody noble? Desperate nations needed legitimacy, and a German name sounded regal enough. You can hear the clink of wine glasses at diplomatic balls, deals struck over maps redrawn by greed. These princes plucked from obscurity faced a choice: stay safe or chase a throne. Most who said yes regretted it, their dreams crumbling like old parchment. It's like crowdfunding a kingdom only to find the donors want you dead. Want to know about one prince's disastrous gamble? Like share drop your wildest history fact, because power's a game where the stakes are always bloody. You're in 1830s Greece, the air thick with olive oil and revolution's ash. Otto of Bavaria, a lanky 17-year-old prince, steps off a ship onto a land still bleeding from its war for independence. He's been offered a crown king of Greece, a nation barely stitched together after shaking off Ottoman rule. It's like being handed the keys to a startup fresh from a hostile takeover. In 1832, Europe's powers playing chess with new nations picked Otto, a minor noble with no Greek ties, to rule a people who'd just fought for freedom. Picture him in a too-tight uniform, staring at Athens' dusty hills, his throne, a rickety chair in a war-torn land. The sarcasm stings a teenager king. It's like casting a TikTok star as president. Otto's reign was a masterclass in being out of your depth. Greece's rebels wanted a leader, not a Bavarian kid who spoke no Greek. You can smell the tension market stalls buzzing with gossip, locals glaring at foreign advisors, trailing Otto like bodyguards. The offer came from Britain, France and Russia, who saw Greece as their pawn. Otto said yes, dreaming of glory, but got chaos instead: rebellions, bankruptcies and a coup by 1862 that sent him packing. It's thrilling, the sheer audacity, like signing up for a gig you're unqualified for, then realising the job's cursed. His palace, more fortress than home, echoed with shouts of foreigner. You're there watching him fumble his crown, a bad fit for a nation that didn't want him. Why Otto knew nations needed royal names to look legit, and Bavaria had spares. The absurdity's rich, a boy king shipped to a land he couldn't pronounce, expected to unify it. His failure was epic, a cautionary tale for anyone chasing power's glitter. Want to explore more colonial pipe dreams like tell us your weirdest history fact, because crowns like bad ideas rarely fit right. You're in a 19th century colonial outpost, the air thick with jungle damp and the buzz of mosquitoes. A tattered letter smelling of ship's tar and ambition lands in the hands of an unlikely outsider, a British merchant maybe, or a wandering botanist. It offers governorship of a chunk of Africa or Southeast Asia, a slice of empire where the sun never sets but the chaos never sleeps. It's like getting a LinkedIn ping to run a war zone with zero experience. In the 1800s, colonial powers like Britain and France tossed leadership roles to oddballs, explorers, traders, even missionaries, hoping they'd tame lands bristling with rebellion. Picture yourself in a humid tent, the ink smudging as you read promises of power over places you can't pronounce. The thrill's electric, but the catch is deadly rule or rot in a forgotten grave. Take James Brooke, a British adventurer who in 1841 was handed Sarawak, Borneo kingdom by a desperate sultan. He didn't just govern, he became a white Rajah, ruling like a pirate king until his death. You can smell the salt air, hear the creak of his ship as he sailed into a land of headhunters and jungles. Or consider French missionaries offered governorships in 1860s Indochina, their Bible swapped for ledgers. These offers weren't noble, they were desperate bets by empires stretched thin, like casting a travel blogger to run a failing startup. The locals, wary and armed, didn't roll out welcome mats. Brooke's rule worked barely, but others faced mutinies or malaria. It's sarcastic gold a crown for a swamp sign me up, said no one sane. The stakes hum with suspense, say yes and you're a lord. Screw up and your lunch. Why outsiders, colonial powers, needed warm bodies to hold fractious territories and locals weren't trusted. You're their sweat stinging your eyes as rebels sharpened spears beyond the palisade. These pipe dreams fueled empires but broke men their legacies crumbling like jungle ruins. It's like betting your life on a Kickstarter that's already on fire. Want to feel the weight of saying no to power? Like Cher, drop your wildest history fact because colonial thrones were less crowns, more curses. You're in Einstein's Princeton study, 1952, the air heavy with pipe smoke and the faint hum of a world in flux. A telegram from Israel sits unanswered its offer of the presidency, a lead weight on his cluttered desk. Saying no wasn't just a shrug, it was a gut-wrenching choice, like ghosting a dream job that could ruin you. Einstein, at 73, knew power's cost. His equations changed history, but leading a nation, that's a trap wrapped in flattery. Picture him, glasses fogging, staring at papers scrawled with relativity, not policy. His refusal, polite but firm, carried a quiet dread, say yes and you're chained to a nation's chaos. Say no, and you're free but the world's eyes linger. It's like declining a viral fame that'd burn you out. Other refusals echo this weight. In the 1800s, scholars like John Stuart Mill dodged colonial posts, their minds too sharp for empire's muck. You can feel the candle wax dripping the silence as they tore up offers that promised glory but reeked of ruin. Einstein's no was humbler. He cited age and experience, but you sense the deeper fear power distorts like gravity bending light. Israel's plea wasn't just a job offer, it was a nation's hope, fragile as glass. Refusing it meant carrying the guilt of a dream deferred. You're there, heart heavy as he pens his reply, the scratch of his quill a defiance of ambition. It's thrilling, the quiet power of no-like unfollowing a toxic influencer before they wreck you. The cost wasn't just personal. Refusals reshaped nations, leaving thrones empty and history teetering. Einstein's humility, like others before him, was a shield, but it stung. Want to know why nations chased these unlikely leaders like? Share, tell us your creepiest history fact. Because saying no to power leaves scars deeper than any crown. You're in a dimly lit 19th century salon, the air thick with cigar smoke and the clink of crystal glasses. Diplomats in starched collars huddle over maps, their whispers urgent as they plot to crown unlikely heroes for newborn nations. Why chase a physicist like Einstein in 1952, or a poet like Lamartine for France's 1848 Republic? It's like casting a novelist as CEO of a sinking startup, madness but deliberate. Nations, especially fragile ones, craved figureheads with shine, not skill. Israel, fresh from its 1948 birth, saw Einstein's fame as a global stamp of legitimacy. His Jewish roots a bonus. Picture the scene. Telegrams, buzzing advisors, sweating, betting a scientist could unify a war-torn land. The sarcasm drips, a Nobel laureate for President sure because equations fix borders. This wasn't unique. In the 1800s, Greece, Mexico and Romania, carved from empires or revolutions, hunted for leaders with name recognition. A German prince, a French writer, even an American adventurer, anyone with a spark of prestige could be a king. You can smell the wax seals, hear the rustle of desperate letters offering thrones to men who'd never held a sceptre. It's thrilling, the audacity, like crowdfunding a celebrity to run a war zone. Take Greece in 1832, pinning hopes on Otto, a Bavarian teen, or Mexico in 1864, gambling on Maximilian, a Habsburg spare. Why new nations needed symbols to dazzle allies and quiet rebels even if the fit was laughable. It's like hiring a TikTok star for gravitas, good luck with that. The allure was a trap. These leaders, often clueless about their new lands, faced rebellions or ruin. yet nations kept chasing them, driven by desperation and dreams of glory. You're there watching diplomats roll the dice, their maps stained with ambition. The stakes hum, pick the right name and you're golden. Pick wrong and it's chaos. Want to hear about the thrones nobody wanted? Like share, drop your wildest history fact, because power's allure is a gamble that rarely pays off. You're in a drafty 19th century castle, the air heavy with mildew and the echo of footsteps on stone. A letter arrives, its seal gleaming with royal promise, a throne in some distant land yours for the taking. But you're a minor European duke, say a Saxe-Coburg or a Danish Spare, and you'd rather stay in your quiet estate than rule a rebellious kingdom. It's like dodging a CEO offer to run a company on fire. In the 1800s, Europe's lesser nobles were hot commodities offered crowns in places like Bulgaria or Albania, where chaos reigned. Picture the scene, candlelight flickering, your hands trembling as you read of a throne that smells more like a trap. A crown's nice, but living's better, and you're not signing up for a guillotine. Take Prince Alfred, Queen Victoria's son, offered Greece's throne in 1862. He said no sensing a mess, Greece was a hotbed of coups, its crown a cursed heirloom. Or consider lesser dukes like those pitched for Albania in the 1910s, who balked at ruling a land of feuding clans. You can feel the parchments chill the weight of a decision that could end in exile or worse. These refusals weren't cowardice, they were survival. It's sarcastic gold a throne nobody wanted, like a Black Friday deal with hidden costs. The thrills in the stakes say yes and you're a king, say no and you're safe, but history forgets you. These dukes tucked in their manners new powers price rebellions, assassinations, or just plain failure. The eerie part: empty thrones left nations scrambling, their dreams of stability fading like mist. You're there watching the letter burn its ashes, a quiet rebellion against fate. Want to know how diplomats dodge similar traps? Like, share, tell us your creepiest history fact, because some crowns are better left unclaimed. You're in a smoky 19th century embassy, the air heavy with intrigue and the faint rustle of espionage. A courier slips you a sealed envelope, its wax stamped with a foreign crest, an offer to govern a volatile region, say a Balkan state or a colonial frontier. It's not a promotion, it's a trap, like being asked to captain a sinking ship on live TV. In the 1800s and early 1900s, diplomats, polished men of ink and protocol, were often pitched leadership roles in unstable lands. Picture a British envoy in 1880s Sudan offered governorship amid Mahdist uprisings, or a French diplomat eyed for a post in 1910s Albania, where clans clashed like feuding influencers. You can feel the parchment's crisp edge, smell the cigar-stained air, as you weigh a choice that screams danger. Take Charles Gordon, a British diplomat and soldier nudged towards ruling Sudan in the 1880s. He took the bait only to be besieged in Khartoum, his fate sealed by 1885's machetes. Others wiser dodged. A French envoy in 1913, Albania, offered a princely role, declined citing diplomatic commitments code for "I'd rather live. It's sarcastic gold a throne in a war zone, thanks, but I'll stick to telegrams." You're there heart racing as whispers of rebellion leak through shuttered windows. These offers weren't honours, they were hot potatoes tossed by empires desperate to stabilise their fringes. The thrills in the dodge say yes and you're a hero or a corpse. Say no and you're safe, but the game's not over. It's like ghosting a recruiter for a job with a 50% mortality rate. Why diplomats? They knew the train spoke the lingo but weren't always fools. Refusing power meant outsmarting fate, but the pressure lingered like a shadow in the embassy's halls. Want to know how Einstein's refusal shocked the world? Like, share, drop your wildest history fact, because dodging power's a dance with high stakes. It's 1952 Jerusalem and the streets hum with gossip as pungent as market spices. Word's out. Albert Einstein, the wild-haired genius, turned down Israel's presidency. You're there dodging hawkers and headlines. As newspapers scream, Einstein says no. It's like a celebrity unfollowing a nation's dreams on Twitter, shocking almost betrayal. Israel still raw from its 1948 birth, banked on Einstein's fame to shine globally. His refusal, plight as a professor's note, hit like a bomb. Picture the scene: coffee shops, buzzing radios, crackling with disbelief. As people clutch papers smudged with ink, The sarcasm stings a physicist over a president who does he think he is saving the cosmos instead. The media went wild. Israeli dailies like Devar spun tales of a missed messiah, while American papers chuckled, calling it Einstein's relativity to power. You can hear the typewriters clacking, smell the newsprint as editors milk the drama. Why the shock? Einstein wasn't just a scientist. He was a Jewish icon, his name a beacon for a nation carving its place. His no penned in a quiet Princeton study wasn't just personal, it was a gut punch to a people craving symbols. It's thrilling, the ripple effect, like a viral post gone wrong, sparking outrage and awe. People argued, was he too old, too wise, or just too stubborn? The truth. He knew politics was a quagmire, not a blackboard. It's like declining a Netflix deal to keep coding in your garage. The public's reaction wasn't just noise. It shaped Israel's next steps, forcing leaders to pivot. You're there watching crowds debate their voices sharp with hope and hurt. Want to know how scholars dreaded these offers? Like Cher, tell us your creepiest history fact, because when power's refused, the world doesn't just shrug. You're hunched over a candlelit desk in a 19th century study, heavy with the must of old books and the faint tang of ink. A letter crisp with urgency sits unopened its seal, promising power, a governorship in a distant colony perhaps, or a seat in a fledgling republic. You're a scholar, maybe a poet like Alphonse de Lamartine in 1848 France, or a thinker like John Stuart Mill, and this offer feels like a prank, like a recruiter spamming you to run a war zone. In the 1800s, intellectuals were prime targets for political roles, their minds courted for nations desperate for gravitas. Picture the scene quills scratching wax dripping as you dread the chaos of power. It's not just a job, it's a burden, heavy as the tomes around you, and saying no is your only shield. Lamartine France's poet-politician was pushed toward leadership during the 1848 revolution. His verses swapped for speeches. He dabbled, then backed away, knowing politics was a swamp. Mill offered colonial posts by the East India Company, flat out refused his essays, sharper than any sceptre. You can feel their fear, the weight of telegrams piling up like unpaid bills. Why scholars knew nations craved their prestige like hiring a TED Talk star to fix a coup. But powers of beast rebellions, budgets, betrayals, and these thinkers knew their limits. It's sarcastic gold a throne for a bookworm, good luck governing with metaphors. The thrills in the dodge accept and you're drowned in chaos. Refuse and you're free, but the world's whispers linger. You're there tearing the letter, the candle flickering like your resolve. This burden wasn't just personal. Refusing power left nations scrambling, their dreams of stability teetering. Einstein's later no in 1952 echoes here. Scholars like him chose ideas over empires. Want to know about the mavericks who said yes and crashed, like Cher, drop your wildest history fact, because power's burden breaks more than it builds. You're in 1850s Central America, the air thick with gunpowder and the stench of ambition gone sour. William Walker, an American lawyer turned adventurer, struts through Nicaragua's dusty capital, his self-proclaimed presidency a fever dream of power. Unlike scholars who dodged thrones, Walker said yes in 1856, accepting rebel factions' offer to rule a war-torn land. It's like a startup bro declaring himself CEO of a failing app, then torching it. Picture him sharp-eyed and reckless, his boots grinding dirt in a makeshift palace. The offer came from desperate locals betting a gringo could stabilise their chaos. Spoiler, it's a disaster and you can smell the betrayal. The sweat of mercenaries turning on their king. Walker's folly was epic. He didn't just govern, he dreamed of a Central American empire issuing decrees like a wannabe Napoleon. You're there watching markets buzz with fear, locals muttering as his American backers loot the land. His reign, barely a year crumbled by 1857, toppled by neighbours and his own greed. Executed in 1860, his grave's a footnote in Honduras. It's thrilling, the audacity, like a TikTok star launching a coup for clout, then crashing. Other mavericks followed suit, filibusters and 1850s Cuba adventurers in colonial Africa, all chasing crowns and finding coffins. Why say yes, ego, mostly plus a whiff of opportunity in lawless lands? The sarcasm stings a throne's nice, but bullets are faster. These failures weren't just personal, they destabilised regions, leaving chaos in their wake. The follies lessen power, seduces, but it's a lousy bet for dreamers. You're there heart-pounding as Walker's empire burns. Want to know how nobles dodged these traps like Cher? Tell us your creepiest history fact, because mavericks prove power's a game for fools. You're in a drafty 19th century manor, the air heavy with the scent of polished oak and fading ambition. A letter arrives, its wax seal gleaming with a foreign crest, offering you a minor duke, perhaps a Coburg or Schleswig-Holstein nobody, a throne in a distant rebellious land. It's like getting a LinkedIn invite to rule a startup already in flames. In the 1800s, Europe's lesser nobles were prime targets for crowns in places like Bulgaria or Greece, where chaos outshone stability. Picture yourself candlelight flickering as you read of a kingdom where the crown's more likely to get you killed than crowned. You tear the letter, choosing safety over glory. A throne's nice, but so is living, and you're not signing up for a revolt's guest list. Take Prince Alfred Victoria's son, who in 1862 dodged Greece's throne like a bad blind date. Or lesser nobles in the 1870s pitched for Bulgaria's shaky crown, who saw the writing on the wall, assassination plots and bankrupt treasuries. You can feel the parchments chill, hear the fireplace crackle as they refuse their nose a quiet rebellion against fate. These royal rejects weren't cowards, they were realists. It's sarcastic gold, a kingdom for a nobody. Thanks, but I'll keep my manner and my head. The thrills in the stakes accept, and you're a king with a target on your back. Decline and you're free, but history's gaze stings. You're there watching the letter burn its ashes, a defiance of power's lure. Like swiping left on a dictator's profile, it's a power move in itself. These refusals left thrones, empty nations teetering. You sense the eerie silence of unclaimed crowns gathering dust in forgotten courts. Want to know why nations chase these oddballs? Like share, drop your wildest history fact because some crowns are better left on the shelf. You're in a war-torn capital, 19th century or maybe 1952 Israel. The air thick with dust and the shouts of a nation clawing for survival. Leaders huddle in smoky rooms, their maps scarred with new borders, desperate for a figurehead to rally their people. Why pick a physicist like Einstein or a random German prince? It's like begging a celebrity chef to run a failing tech firm. Desperation breeds wild choices. New nations from 1830s Greece to post-1948. Israel needed legitimacy fast, and a big name was their golden ticket. Picture the scene telegrams, flying ink smudging as they chase anyone with a whiff of prestige. The urgency's palpable, like a startup pitching a saviour before the money runs out. Israel's 1952 gamble on Einstein was peak desperation. Fresh from war borders bristling, they saw his fame as a global handshake. Greece in the 1830s, bleeding from Ottoman wars, picked Otto, a Bavarian teen, for his royal blood. You can hear the advisors' frantic whispers, smell the coffee-stained plans. These choices weren't logical, they were emotional, like crowdfunding a dream with no business plan. The sarcasm bites a scientist, for president a kid, for king, good luck selling that to the rebels. Yet it worked. Sometimes big names drew allies, calmed crowds. But the thrills in the chaos, pick wrong and your nation's a footnote. Pick right and you're still on thin ice. You're there watching leaders bet on oddballs, their hopes as fragile as glass. This desperation shaped history for better or worse. Einstein's no left Israel scrambling. Otto's yes sparked Greek revolts. Want to know how Einstein's refusal letter shook things up? Like share, tell us your creepiest history fact because desperate nations roll the dice and the fallout's never pretty. You're in Albert Einstein's Princeton study, 1952, the air thick with pipe smoke and the quiet scratch of a quill. A telegram from Israel, its ink sharp with urgency, begs him to accept the presidency. He pens a refusal, each word deliberate, like solving an equation for survival. It's not just a letter, it's a pivot point, like declining a viral TED talk to stay in your lab. Einstein's note sent November 1952 was polite but firm. I lack the natural aptitude, he wrote, his humour masking dread. Picture the scene books, tower like fortress walls, the desk cluttered with equations, not policies. Israel, raw from its 1948 birth, wanted his fame to anchor their dreams. You can smell the wax seal, feel the paper's weight, a nation's hope inked on a single sheet. This letter wasn't just a no, it reshaped Israel's path. Without Einstein, they turned to Chaim Weizmann, a scientist turned statesman who'd already bled for the cause. The refusal rippled, sparking debates in Jerusalem's cafes where voices clashed like swords. It's sarcastic gold the guy who cracked relativity dodged a desk job respect. But the thrills in the stakes say yes and he's trapped in a war-zoned politics. Say no and he's free but the world's watching. You're there heart ticking like a telegraph as he signs his name sealing a nation's what if. It's like ghosting a blockbuster role to keep coding in obscurity. The letter, now a historical relic, hums with power, a quiet rebellion against ambition's pull. That single page, dashed off in a study, left Israel scrambling and history wondering. Want to know about the forgotten offers that faded into obscurity? Like, share, drop your wildest history fact, because one letter can tilt a nation's fate. You're in a dusty archive, the air heavy with the ghosts of unopened letters and unclaimed crowns. It's the 19th century and a forgotten duke or scholar, say a minor Habsburg or an obscure poet, receives a parchment offering a throne in a land like Albania or Haiti. It's like a spam email promising millions but with guillotines. These offers buried in history's margins were real. In 1913, Albania pitched crowns to European nobles, most of whom scoffed. In 1820s, Haiti exiles were courted to rule a fractious republic. Picture the scene, candlelight flickers, the letter's ink fades, promising power in places where chaos reigns. You can feel the chill of refusal, the eerie silence of a throne left empty. Take Prince Wilhelm of Wied offered Albania's crown in 1914. He accepted briefly, then fled within months, chased by rebels. Others wiser said no outright minor dukes in the 1870s, dodging Bulgaria's shaky throne or French exiles refusing Haiti's call. These rejections weren't loud. They were whispers lost in dusty ledgers. Its sarcastic gold a kingdom for a nobody pass. The thrills in the stakes accept and you're a footnote in a coup. Refuse and you're erased, you're Noah ghost in history's attic. You're there watching the letter crumble its promise, fading like a bad dream. It's like declining a reality show gig knowing the set's cursed. These forgotten offers left nations adrift their thrones, gathering cobwebs. The eerie weight of what-ifs lingers, power, refused futures unwritten. Want to know how these refusals sparked chaos like share? Tell us your creepiest history fact, because some offers are better lost than found. You're standing in a 19th century capital, maybe Athens, System or Jerusalem in 1952. The air thick with dust and the echoes of a nation teetering on the edge. A throne sits empty, its velvet gathering cobwebs, because someone, an Einstein, a duke, a diplomat, said no to power. It's like a startup imploding after the CEO bails, leaving chaos in the void. When Albert Einstein refused Israel's presidency in 1952, the nation didn't just shrug. It scrambled, leaders pacing smoky rooms, their plans unravelling like cheap thread. Picture the scene, newspapers scream, diplomats sweat, and the streets buzz with uncertainty. An empty throne isn't just a symbol, it's a vacuum sucking in panic coups, or worse. You can smell the ink of frantic telegrams, feel the tension as a nation's hope frays. This wasn't unique. In 1862, Greece's crown sat unclaimed after Prince Alfred declined, sparking years of unrest until another noble was roped in. Or take 1913, Albania, where Wilhelm of Wied's brief acceptance and swift exit left clans warring the throne a cursed heirloom. You're there heart pounding as advisors scramble to fill the gap, their voices sharp with desperation. It's sarcastic old refuse a crown and watch the dominoes fall, rebellions, power grabs, or just plain chaos. The thrills in the fallout, an empty seat means nobody's steering and history loves a crash. Like a reality show with no host, the vacuum breeds drama, factions clash. Allies bolt and the map redraws itself in blood. Einstein's no left Israel to pivot fast, but others weren't so lucky, their refusals igniting fires that burned for decades. The power vacuum's eerie legacy lingers a reminder that saying no reshapes more than one life. Want to know the human cost of these refusals? Like share, drop your wildest history fact, because an empty throne's a spark in a powder keg. You're in a quiet study, maybe Einstein's in 1952, or a forgotten duke's in 1870s Europe, the air heavy with the weight of a choice. A letter offering power, a presidency, a crown sits discarded its words, fading like a dream you'd rather forget. Saying no to power isn't just a shrug, it's a wound carved into your soul and the nation left behind. Picture Einstein, his pen, pausing eyes tired, as he declines Israel's plea. His refusal, inked in humility, spared in politics claws, but left a sting guilt perhaps for a nation's hope deferred. You're in Henry VIII's palace, 1530s England. The air thick with the stench of unwashed velvet and something far worse. Step into the privy chamber where the king's chamber pot sits like a grim throne, and you're a groom of the stool tasked with wiping the royal backside. It's not a metaphor, this was a real job, and Henry's court took it seriously. Picture yourself cloth in hand as the king grunts his bulk spilling over the seat. The smell hits like a punch, a mix of sweat and worse, yet you're trusted, even knighted for this grim duty. It's like being promoted to chief toilet paper manager with a noble title. Knighthood smells awful, doesn't it? These grooms, often nobles like Sir Henry Norris, didn't just clean, they inspected the king's waste, analysing it like medieval WebMD. You're there gagging on the reek as courtiers in fine silks pretend not to notice. Henry, obsessed with his health, saw this as vital, his bodily secrets, your daily grind. The sarcasm bites a knight for a toilet only in Tudor England. The horror's visceral, damp cloth-warm stench and the king's impatient glare. It's like a reality show where the prize is a title and a lifetime of trauma. This wasn't just gross, it was power, bizarre intimacy that made grooms confidence, even if their hands reeked. Want to know how they survived the daily grind? Like Cher, drop your creepiest history fact, because some jobs stink worse than others. You wake in a Tudor palace, 1530s, the air heavy with candle wax and the lingering stink of the king's privy. You're a groom of the stool, and your day starts with Henry VIII's call to the chamber pot. It's not just wiping, your job's a grotesque ritual, checking the royal waste for signs of health or doom. Picture the scene, you kneel cloth ready as the king's bulk looms, the room's opulence mocking the filth. The stench claws your throat, a mix of decay and courtly perfume, yet you're a noble, maybe even Sir William Compton entrusted with this grim honour. It's like being a janitor with a LinkedIn title, Royal Sanitation Specialist. Daily life's a parade of disgust. You carry the chamber pot through gilded halls, courtiers averting their eyes but whispering your name. You analyse the king's output, colour texture, all of it. Reporting to physicians like they're waiting for a weather forecast. The sarcasm stings a career in poop Tudor goals. The horror's real, your hands never feel clean, the air's always sour. Yeah, this job's power, a twisted trust that puts you in Henry's inner circle. It's like cleaning up a CEO's mess and getting stock options. The palace shines, but you know its dirty secret royalties just as human and twice as gross. Want to know about other grim, courtly roles? Like Cher, tell us your wildest history fact, because loyalty's price is a bucket of stench. You're in a medieval French court, 14th century, the banquet hall gleaming with candlelight and the clink of goblets. You're a poison taster, a grim cog in the royal machine tasked with sampling the king's meal before he touches it. One bite could be your last, and the air's thick with the scent of roasted meat and lurking dread. Picture yourself heart pounding as you nibble a morsel of pheasant, the court's eyes boring into you. Was that a bitter tang, or just fear kings like Charles V relied on tasters to thwart assassins, a job as noble as it was deadly? It's like being a food critic with a death wish or Yelp review written in survival. Every meal's a gamble. You stand by the king's table, velvet-clad nobles whispering their smiles sharp as daggers. Poison was the era's silent killer arsenic, in wine hemlock, in stew, and you're the canary in this gilded coal mine. The horror's visceral, your throat tightens sweat beads as you wait for your body to betray you. The sarcasm bites a knighthood for nibbling, what a gig. Some tasters like those in Louis the Fountain's court survived years. Others dropped dead mid-bite, their sacrifice a footnote. You're there tasting death's edge, the hall's opulence mocking your fate. It's like signing up for a reality show where the loser's obituary is the prize. Want to know about the eerie relic keepers like Cher? Drop your creepiest history fact, because some jobs are a one-way ticket to the grave. You're in a medieval cathedral, 13th century Europe, the air heavy with incense and the chill of stone. You're a relic keeper guarding sacred bones, saints' fingers, martyrs' skulls in a shrine that hums with eerie whispers. Your job's to protect these holy scraps, dusting crypts and warding off thieves who'd steal a femur for profit. Picture yourself candle in hand as shadows dance across a reliquary, gleaming with gold but reeking of decay. The church swears these bones work miracles, but to you they're a curse, their weight heavier than the gold they're encased in. It's like babysitting a haunted eBay listing, except the ghosts are real. Relic keepers, often monks or minor nobles, were part priest, part janitor, in courts like those of Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II. You'd polish a saint's tooth while pilgrims wept. The horror's subtle dust clings to your fingers, the air tastes of old death, and rumours of curses dog your steps. The sarcasm stings, guarding bones for God, sounds like a promotion to crypt cleaner. Thieves and warriors made your job a nightmare, lose a relic and you're damned. You're their heart thudding as you lock the shrine, its contents both holy and horrific. It's like curating a museum where every exhibit might kill you. Want to know about samurai blade testers like Cher? Tell us your wildest history fact, because some duties carry a curse that lingers. You're in 17th century Japan, the air sharp with the tang of steel and blood. You're a sword tester, a samurai tasked with slicing through condemned prisoners to ensure your lord's blade is lethal. The courtyard's grim, the ground slick with crimson as you grip the katana, its edge gleaming under a cold sun. Picture yourself heart pounding as the prisoner kneels, eyes wide with terror. This isn't practice, it's real, a grotesque duty in Tokugawa Japan, where samurai like those under the shogunate tested swords on living flesh to prove their craft. It's like being a quality control guy for death, your resume stained red. Each swing's a test of skill and stomach. You slice the blade's hum, drowned by a scream, blood spraying like ink on rice paper. The horror's visceral, your hands sticky the air, thick with iron and fear. Lords demanded perfection blades that could cleave bone in one stroke, and you're the grim proof. The sarcasm bites a job cutting people to test your peak career goals. Some testers, like those in Edo's execution grounds, worked methodically, their cuts clinical, but the toll lingers. You're there wiping the blade, its weight heavier than honour. It's like starring in a gore flick where you're both hero and villain. Want to know the shame of such duties? Like Cher, drop your creepiest history fact, because some jobs carve deeper than flesh. You're in a Tudor palace, 1530s, or perhaps a Japanese lord's court, the air heavy with opulence and unspoken disgrace. You're a courtier, a groom of the stool, a poison taster, a blade tester, your loyalty bound to grotesque tasks. The shame clings like damp velvet, your title a cruel joke. Picture yourself hands trembling as you wipe a king's chamber pot or slice a prisoner's flesh, the court's eyes judging silently. These roles, from Henry VIII's privy to Tokugawa's execution grounds, made you a confidant but a pariah, your honour traded for service. It's like being a corporate lackey praised for cleaning up the boss's mess, only worse. The toll's brutal. You smile for the king, but your gut churns the stench of waste or blood never fading. Grooms like Sir Henry Norris whispered state secrets, but lived with the reek. Samurai testers bore scars no one saw. The sarcasm stings knighted for filth, honoured for slaughter. What a LinkedIn flex. You're their heart heavy as courtiers sneer behind their fans, your loyalty a chain. The horror's quiet shame erodes you, each task a reminder of your place. It's like signing up for glory and getting a lifetime of disgust. Want to know how palaces hid their filth like Cher? Tell us your wildest history fact, because loyalty's price is a stain that never washes out. You're in a 16th century Tudor palace, the air heavy with the scent of beeswax and betrayal. The halls gleam with tapestries, but beneath the velvet lies a truth: this place is a cesspit. You're a courtier, maybe a groom of the stool, dodging puddles of filth as you carry the king's chamber pot. Henry VIII's court, like Versailles, a century later hid its grime behind gold. No plumbing, just buckets and prayers, waste tossed from windows, floors slick with who knows what. Picture the scene, you gag on the stench, a mix of sewage and perfume, as nobles glide past their silks brushing filth. It's like a 5-star hotel with a broken septic tank and you're the clean-up crew. The unsanitary reality was no secret, just ignored. Servants like you hauled slop through gilded corridors while rats scurried in the shadows. Versailles' gardens dazzled, but its corners reeked of urine. Henry's palaces were no better chamber pots overflowing in royal chambers. The sarcasm bites opulence more like a glittery landfill. The horror's visceral, your boots stick to the floor, the air chokes you. Even knights like Sir William Compton, close to the king, couldn't escape the stink. It's like working in a penthouse where the pipes burst daily. The palace's shine was a lie. its filth a grim reminder royalty's human and humans are messy. Want to know the legacy of these grim servants? Like, share, drop your creepiest history fact because velvet hides the stink but never well. You're a ghost in a Tudor court or perhaps a Japanese lord's hall. Your hand stained by duties no one speaks of, wiping the king's backside, testing his food, guarding bones. You're a groom, a taster, a samurai, your life, a footnote in history's ledger. Yet your work shaped the palace's pulse. Picture yourself shadow in the candlelight, your role both vital and vile. The air's thick with incense, but the stench of your task lingers chamber pot reek blood's iron tang or the dust of sacred relics. These jobs from Henry VIII's privy to Tokugawa's blade tests were the court's dirty secret, their legacy buried with the servants who bore them. It's like being the intern who keeps the company running but never gets credit. Your sacrifice held courts together. Grooms like Sir Henry Norris heard Henry's secrets but carried his filth. Tasters died so kings could eat. The horrors quiet, your pride eroded by each grim task, your name forgotten. The sarcasm stings a legacy of slop truly noble. Yet these roles degrading as they were gave servants power, access, trust, a whisper in the king's ear. You're there heart heavy as history moves on your labour, a shadow in the palace's shine. It's like cleaning up a CEO's mess for a pat on the back, then fading into obscurity. Like share tell us your wildest history fact because these servants lost in time proved loyalty's cost is a life erased. You're crouched in a British tank, 1945. The air thick with diesel fumes and the scream of shells outside. The radio crackles, but your focus is on the boiling vessel, a kettle bolted to the tank's innards steaming with tea. It's absurd, bombs fall, yet you're brewing a cuppa, the steam warming your face as the turret shakes. Since World War II, every British tank from Centurions to Challengers had this device, a nod to soldiers' need for comfort amid chaos. Picture yourself, hands trembling, pouring tea as the enemy's gunfire pings off steel. It's like ordering Uber Eats in a war zone mad, but morale's at stake. The kettle's hum is a lifeline. Soldiers in Normandy or the Gulf War swore by it, their muddy boots tapping as they sipped Earl Grey between battles. The sarcasm bites, bullets fly, but the tea's perfect because nothing says war like a proper brew. The thrills in the contrast, death's roar outside a cosy ritual within. You're there, the cup's warmth, a fleeting shield against fear, the air tasting of metal and bergamot. This wasn't just quirky, it was survival, a sip of normalcy in hell. It's like Instagramming your lunch during an airstrike defiance in a mug. Want to know about soldiers' lucky charms? Like share drop your wildest history fact because war's chaos makes tea a hero. You're in a World War I trench, 1916, the air damp with mud and the stench of cordite. Tucked in your pocket is a rabbit's foot, a bullet casing or a crumpled photo. Your lucky charm clutched like a prayer against death. Soldiers across the Somme or Ypres carried these talismans believing they'd dodge bullets or shells. Picture yourself heart pounding as you rub the charm, its texture worn smooth, while artillery screams overhead. The eerie hope clings a fragile shield in a world of shrapnel. It's like betting your life on a 4-leaf clover found on Tinder. These charms were no joke. British Tommies swore by rabbit feet. Germans kept engraved coins. Some, like those at Passchendaele, tied charms to rifles, whispering to them before charges. The suspense is thick one touch and maybe you'll live. Forget it and fate's unkind. You're there, mud caking your boots, the charm's weight heavier than your gun. The sarcasm stings a trinket to cheat death. Sure, because luck's stronger than steel, yet these rituals grounded soldiers, their hope a flicker in the dark. It's like carrying a fidget spinner into an apocalypse, absurd but human. Want to know about wartime's grim cures? Like share tell us your creepiest history fact, because in war, luck's a ghost you cling to. You're in a Napoleonic battlefield, 1812, the air thick with smoke and the moans of the wounded. You're a soldier, your arm gashed open, blood soaking your tattered uniform. No medics near, so you grab a canteen not for water but for urine your own, or a mate's to pour over the wound. It's grim, but in the early 1800s soldiers swore by this trick, believing it fought infection. Picture yourself wincing as the warm liquid stings the smell sharp enough to curl your toes. It's like using a DIY hack from a zombie apocalypse forum, except it sometimes worked. Urine's ammonia could kill bacteria in a pinch. The horror's visceral. Your wound's gritty, the urine's acrid reek mixing with mud and gunpowder. You're there heart racing as you douse the gash, praying it's enough to keep gangrene at bay. In battles like Borodino, soldiers used this desperate cure when supplies ran dry, their survival hinging on bodily fluids. The sarcasm bites a pea-based bandage, Napoleon's finest hour. Yet it was a lifeline. Some lived because of it, their scars a badge of grim ingenuity. It's like MacGyvering your way through war with the grossest tool available. You feel the damp cloth, the wounds throb, and the faint hope of cheating death. Want to know about other wartime rituals like share drop your creepiest history fact because war turns desperation into disgusting genius. You're in a World War I trench 1917, the air damp with rot and the distant thud of shells. You're a soldier caked in mud, but your voice rises, joining others in a shaky rendition of It's a Long Way to Tipperary. Singing's your ritual, a defiance against the chaos as common as trenchfoot. Picture yourself throat raw, belting out tunes while rats scurry and bullets whistle. In the Great War, soldiers sang British Tommies, French poilus, even Germans turning folk songs into lifelines. It's like blasting a playlist to drown out an apocalypse, a middle finger to despair. These songs weren't just noise. In Ypres muck, men crooned to stay sane, their voices a fragile thread of hope. Some carved flutes from wood, others scrawled lyrics on scraps, passing them like contraband. The thrills in the act sing loud dodge shells and maybe you'll see dawn. The sarcasm stings a serenade in a slaughterhouse pure class. You're there, your breath fogging in the cold, the tune's rhythm steadying your pulse. It's like live streaming courage from a foxhole. These rituals, songs, rhymes, even jokes kept men human when war tried to strip them bare. Want to know how tea kettles became a wartime legacy? Like Cher, tell us your wildest history fact, because in war, a song's as vital as a rifle. You're inside a British Challenger tank, 1991 Gulf War. The desert heat seeping through steel, the air thick with dust and diesel. The boiling vessel hums brewing tea as missiles streak outside a ritual born in 1945, when British tanks first got kettles to keep soldiers sane. Picture yourself sipping scalding tea, the cup's warmth, a fleeting comfort as the radio crackles with orders. From World War II's muddy fields to Iraq's sands, this quirky tradition endured, evolving from basic heaters to built-in boilers in every tank. It's like installing a coffee maker in a fighter jet, nuts but vital. The sarcasm bites shells rain, but the tea's on point because priorities. This legacy wasn't just about caffeine. In Normandy, Korea or Basra, soldiers brewed up between firefights. The kettle's steam, a middle finger to chaos. You're there, the mug steadying your hands, its heat cutting through war's chill. Crews swore by it, their banter. Over tea, a shield against fear. The thrills in the Defiance War's hell, but a cuppa's home. By the 21st century, the boiling vessel was standard and nod to Britain's obsession with normalcy. It's like live tweeting calm from a war zone. The kettle's hum, faint against the roar of battle, carried decades of grit and hope. Want to know war's human heart like Cher? Drop your creepiest history fact, because tea in a tank proves soldiers cling to comfort like a lifeline. You're on a battlefield, maybe 1916 Somme or 1991 Iraq, the air heavy with smoke and silence between blasts. Soldiers clutch rabbit feet, sing in trenches or brew tea in tanks, their rituals a heartbeat against war's grind. Picture yourself mud-caked, humming a tune or rubbing a charm, the act anchoring you to something human. From Napoleonic urine-soaked bandages to World War I songs, these bizarre habits. Tea kettles, lucky coins were survival tools, not quirks. The eerie weight hits, a sip of tea, a whispered lyric could be your last defiance. It's like posting a selfie in a storm, claiming life amid ruin. These rituals reveal war's heart. In Ypres, soldiers sang to drown fear. In Gulf War